As Cyprus continues to draw international investors and home buyers, identifying the next high-growth real estate hotspots becomes essential for those looking to maximize returns. In this session, our experts will share data-driven insights on upcoming projects, zoning developments, and key economic drivers that are actively shaping the future of Cyprus' proper market. To lead this important discussion, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ms. Christina Kokkalou, Managing Director at IMR University of Nicosia.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here for the third consecutive year at Realty on Expo. It's one of the leading and most prominent events on the island. And it's an honor to have with me our esteemed speakers, which I would like to introduce to you. Kyriakos Charalambous, the COO of Dominica Group.
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation. Lovely to be here.
Andy Hadjiadomo, CEO of Domo. Natasha Richards, co-founder and CEO of Rich Estates. And Phivos Theodorou, Head of Sales and Business Development at Property Gallery.
Hello, thank you very much. Welcome, and let's make it interesting today.
Yes, we're going to make it very interesting today because our experts are going to share with you all their valuable knowledge, expertise on what are the best and most hot spots to invest in Cyprus, having the highest yield on your investments. So I want to give a few minutes to each of my panelists to share their views on what are, now that we're talking, the most current hotspots on the island. Kyriako?
Sure. Well, so I think Cyprus is one of those places that, although it's relatively small in size, it offers a lot of different opportunities, okay? So we come from different cities, at least three. From what I know, Natasha is working on different cities, and I think everyone could say that each one offers something different. For example, I'm going to talk about Paphos, okay? Paphos, being the touristic capital of Cyprus, offers yields that are predominantly linked to that, okay? So that means that you are maximizing your return when you go hand in hand with what the city, the location, has to offer. So in the case of Paphos, and I'm not sure if you can hear me, now you can, yeah. So in the case of Paphos is predominantly investments that have to do with tourism. And I'm sure, as the guys will say, in other parts of Cyprus, it's something different. What's important, in my opinion, for the investor to understand is their risk appetite, the type of return they want to have, and how actively they want to engage.
Thank you, Kyriakos. Andis?
So, before coming to this panel, I was just thinking that it's going to be challenging to get Paphos and Limassol into what's the best place to be. But no, just kidding aside. I do agree 100% with Kyriakos that Cyprus as a whole is a good investment hub. Yep, and then you can pick a city which you like, and for different reasons, I guess they can give similar yields. But specifically, our company is focused in Limassol, where it's also 50% of the volume that we have of transactions there in Limassol. There's a reason behind this. There's a lot of people coming in the city, and specifically, then if you go further into Limassol, city center is where our focus is and where we believe our investor is getting the highest yield and the best opportunity of the island today.
Thank you, Andis. Natasha?
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I would say, additionally to what guys just mentioned, that Limassol is leading the market because, as we all might agree, that is the business hub, and it's always on demand, and it has been growing for past few years. But apart from that, I see a major growth in Larnaca and Paphos, especially because of the lower entry points. That makes it more affordable for other type of investors as well. Alongside that, I would say, generally speaking, Cyprus as a whole, of course, it's a great investment, and comparing to many European countries, we have high yields in any cities that you decide to invest in.
Thank you, Natasha. Fivo?
So I will add up to what we are discussing, starting from Kyriakos, very well said that every city has different characteristics. So on the panel today, I think we have the southwest coast of the island to give further boost on the business and industry. What I would like to say is all about understanding the profile of who is your buyer, your client, your investor. And on a short summary, from my perspective and by experience, we see three profiles. It's the buyer for permanent living, whether it includes locals or foreigners. Going to the permanent living and looking to the foreigners, you have subcategories such as Europeans, non-Europeans, and then if you want to break it down even further, you have buyers relocating to Cyprus, taking advantage of the investment immigration program, the permanent residency, and business relocation, tax planning solutions. Why I'm doing this comment? Because looking into yields and investments and areas, we need to understand the characteristics of our clients, and different areas, different characteristics. Then moving to the second profile of buyers, by experience, I think we all agree, we have the investors, which is buy to let, or more aggressive, buy to sell, flipping, buying off plan, or during completion, you're reselling and capitalizing. And last but not least, we live in Cyprus, a beautiful place. So it's all about lifestyle, and we have investors for lifestyle. So these are the profiles of buyers nowadays. We need to understand the characteristics of every city and every region. We see Paphos, it's more touristic, therefore the strategy for the investor, it's towards the short term maybe, but I think Paphos is evolving as well in the recent years. Looking into Limassol and following the data analytics from the Land Registry Department and the property index from the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, we see equal and good spread all over the cities in Cyprus, but still Limassol is leading the way. And I will try to keep it short so I give more time. We continue.
Thank you, Fivos. Let's be a bit more specific. Can you give me some examples of upcoming promising developments or properties that you can see in each of the cities that we've mentioned? And this, would you like to start?
Yeah. So, as I said, we are focusing as a company in the city of Limassol, and basically, thank you, Fivo, for brilliant analyzing and giving like a nice structure into our conversation, because we also consider our home buyers that they come and buy an apartment as investors also. So I don't, today we're talking about the investors who are typically looking for a good yield, and the number one thing, what's my ROI, what's my cash on cash, and then you have the buyers, the home buyers, who also, they want to have a home that makes sense financially in the next 4 or 5 years. So, in Limassol today, and of course, I'm sure that it's the same with Paphos and I think other cities. In Limassol today, you can get a newly apartment just delivered and get a 6% to 7% yield. So these are still good times, even though prices are high and the tickets could be higher in Limassol. As I said before, 50% of the buyers are in Limassol, and also 50% of that are buying through a range of 250 to 500,000. So, of course, the ticket could be higher than any other city, but you still get a 6 to 7% on a newly built. And if you do a cash flows, a 5-year cash flow where you take into account the depreciation of an exit within the next 5 years, then the ROI could be higher than any other place. Of course, we all know about the new trend of Limassol, the Zagagi area, where I don't know how many, in the hundreds of units there's planning to be developed. Sorry? I said hundreds.
I agree.
I don't want to say thousands, but you know, in the hundreds of units, you know, in Cyprus we all have a tendency to follow without a lot of data backing up. It's how it is. So of course you can still get a good yield in different areas of Limassol, but when I say city center, I mean, you know, where it doesn't have to be in the student city, but when I'm saying city center, you know, we all know that in all European cities, these prices are more resilient in any fluctuations, in any change. And in any case, either as a home buyer or as an investor, you're safe. You're safe in Limassol today. Sorry if I got overexcited.
Any examples on Paphos, Kyriakos and Natasha, of upcoming properties, development projects?
I would say if I want to name projects to be very specific, I will just give one example for different cities. So that would be Ionapa Marina project in Ionapa, a U project in Limassol, which Phibos might be able to explain in more details about it. Also Cape St. George resorts in Paphos. I don't want to keep it long, but another thing I personally think it's a big opportunity in Cyprus. It's service accommodations, especially in Limassol and Paphos, because they are tourist heavy and with a big expat community. Also service offices, especially in Limassol and Larnaca, because of all the tech companies and financial firms.
Thank you, Natasha. Kyriako?
Basically, in my opinion, there are certain areas in Paphos where we are based as Domenica Group that, let's say, they will always appreciate in value, like seaside areas, because they're limited and because there's a lot of demand for it. So if I would go to upcoming, I would go to the city center. So if you just move your Limassol brains out of it, I hope you would agree that Paphos is evolving a lot in the last few years. And even at the rate that even if you visit every 6-7 months, you see new stuff. A big part of it is because the municipality invested a lot in the center to completely renovate it, to completely change the view, take older buildings, because we had a lot of property belonging to Turkish Cypriots that people were not touching for decades. And they just did the right way of renovating, restoring it. And there was even a piece of land in the center of Paphos, massive, that we started a project called Elements. Elements, it's a big project that we're doing, 7 buildings, 160 apartments. And basically it's in the center of what we call the Park of Colors. When we went in to start building Elements, we were discovering rubbish that were left there since 1962. You could see the tags. Nobody touched the place for... Yeah, it's true, because all of that, basically the municipality converted that into the biggest urban park that we have right now in Cyprus. Basketball courts, tennis, football. They did the whole of work for us, so we can come and pretend that we are nice and we developed elements around it. But it's just one example of how the center of Paphos is completely changing, and in my opinion offers more upside because the seaside areas are already sold at a higher price.
Excellent. Phibos?
So I want to add something on behalf and the philosophy of property gallery. Looking on new developments, obviously a big highlight, what Natasha has also mentioned, Limassol is development which is a game changer for the industry. It's by all means the first and currently only as such branded residential development in Cyprus, not only in Limassol. So we are targeting the more luxury high-end. Cyprus is evolving. Foreign direct investment nowadays is contributing to the island. So we need to understand the needs and the characteristics in addition to the profile of these kind of clients that they come for foreign direct investment in Cyprus. Therefore, by all means, Limassol is one of the ongoing developments which is a game changer. Then another thing that we experience more heavy in Limassol is the relocation. Therefore, commercial developments is the next big thing, and we all see the performance of high yields of office spaces. And the Property and Gallery, we have an active presence and a good establishment with commercial developments in prime locations in the city center of Limassol. Companies relocating to Cyprus, they want to have a profile, visibility, and image. Therefore, the quality, the service, the location, they are all elements that they are blended together. And another thing, looking about Limassol, we are targeting clients for permanent living. So I think affordable living, it's something very important. And our new developments, they follow this trend. And affordable living with the inflation and the cost of land purchase in especially Limassol, the mathematics, they don't work out, but with policies, which is something I think we will see later, we will see how policies they are coming to add up with affordable living. And in the overall, we see positive growth on the business.
Thank you, Paphos. From your experience talking with clients, and what would you say, how would you prioritize the demand? What like you said, for commercial areas as well, for residents, Natasha mentioned offices. How would you prioritize the demand now? If someone would invest on the island, can you just give me some examples from your clients?
The ratios.
The ratios, approximately, so.
Our ratio, but I guess it's specific to each also company profile and company profile. So it matters if your product is mostly geared towards, you know, higher ticket and larger units than you. But in our company, our ratio is 70, 30. 70 is home buyers and 30 is the investors. That's the ratio. But I do know companies that do have a different ratio into that. I don't know how it's in your guys.
First of all, in terms of home buyers, what we noticed is that in general, and I don't know if you guys noticed the same, but in Paphos in general, the percentage of people that are buying to relocate or to stay increased. Yes. Also, even the average age of a foreign buyer decreased a lot, which means that people are choosing Cyprus, yes, Paphos, but by extrapolation, at an earlier stage.
We heard our first buyers the other week, and Christina, she's laughing. She came to the office and she said, I opened their ID and it was 2002. Oh. So that's like 20 young people are now buying in Cyprus. People who come with work, they want to enjoy the city, and they rent for the first couple of years. I guess, then it makes sense for them to continue, make a mortgage, buy a house. These are mostly our clients, and we see that as local foreigners, I guess, as we say it, coming into.
Just take it a bit broader, right? So that means that we did a good job as a country in improving our infrastructure, in improving what you offer to somebody to move, right? Because nobody would come if they believe that the quality of life here would be bad, right? So it means that, let's start from the foreigners. When they come, they believe that, okay, you build the infrastructure around it, meaning the property site, right? But also schools, where I can go, what I can do on a daily basis, and it means that they feel more welcome here, right? And some of the policies that our government took, that maybe we're going to discuss later, helped in that way. So that's one part. If I have to focus something on Paphos, I would say that based on the latest stats from the Cyprus Central Bank, it still is, because it was the #1 place for EU buyers buying into Cyprus. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we do see that we have big communities from Poland, from the UK, from Germany, places that are not Central Europeans.
I have to question the UK part, if it's EU.
Fair enough, but you got my point.
No, I mean, I think Paphos is highly UK market also. That's what I'm saying, right?
It still is.
It's still a highly UK market, which that goes into the EU category, of course. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
So I'm holding what Kyriakos have said, and I don't know if you agreed now. So we're having younger age groups investing.
Yep.
or permanently moving to Cyprus, because before, correct me if I'm wrong, Paphos was mostly for older age groups, retirements.
No, I'm not going to correct you. You are completely right. And
So now that's
me,
very positive what you
Yep.
say.
Yeah, because, okay, obviously, I'm not the oldest guy in the room, but because I was born into this industry, my family's been doing it for more than 6 decades. I remember when I was a kid, when I was like decade of 2000, 2010, that although at that time we had a lot of buyers, it was coming from one flow. British, older, wanted to retire. Right now, what I see, and it gives me a lot of confidence in the market of Paphos, I hope the same for you guys as well, is that it comes from many different countries for many different reasons, and that plethora of different flows and channels gives a lot of confidence to anyone involved in the industry.
Of course. So undoubtedly, Cyprus is a very attractive destination, but as Phivos mentioned, we need to facilitate with our policies, rules, regulations, and making easier for foreign investment to invest in our country or to relocate. Fivo, would you like to give me some of your feedback regarding the regulations on this part?
Yes, I think regulations and policies, they are driving factors. And we all experience in the past bureaucracy, backlog, and targeting younger audience, expats, expatriates, business profile people. We need efficiency and transparency and to speed up procedures. So the biggest challenge, which is still, in my opinion, on a transition period, it was and is the digital transformation. So it happened, but like I said, I still believe it's on a transition period because of the backlog. I strongly believe that the authorities will need to increase the number of the employees with the authorities in order to catch up with the pending applications. Policies such as VAT that they were announced recently, definitely they are changing the way that we as developers and constructors, we are changing the way that we build and we design new developments, our master planning. Policies such as build to rent, they are incentivizing the developers with more building density and with commitment to have more affordable living, which is something that we mentioned before. Policies related with the investment immigration, the permanent residency was recently, a few years ago, was amended. It's a big expectation and something that we have from the President of the Republic, Mr. Christodoulidis, that Cyprus would join Schengen. We all have a question mark, but we do hope that we would join Schengen because you understand that by joining Schengen, you have a new horizon with business. And obviously, the policy of relocation, we see how it's changing the ecosystem. Talking about Limassol that we are actively developing, we see that Limassol became an international city with foreigners actually living here. And we really encourage policies like that.
Any other suggestions on the policies, Andis, regarding foreign direct investment, or Kyriakos, if you'd like to add something?
So we in the committee of the board of the directors of the property developers where I take part, and they're doing a very good job. We're really pushing along with different, I think, what Phivos has mentioned, and some other things, making the policies of smaller units, which we're not allowed today to do. But the truth is that for an investor today, an investor of high-profile investor who wants to come and do a joint venture and invest in a 4 or 5 year plan, it's difficult. It's difficult, and I applaud them for even considering the fact that we don't know when we cannot promise when the investor will get the return back, because we don't know how long it will take for the permit, we don't know the issues that we're going to have, so that's a challenging part. And it's in the road. The governments know, they understand it, and you know, they're trying to fix it. Now, the other part that is very important, I got the word from Paphos, is the VAT regulation is very difficult today to build and to rent, because actually you have to pay the VAT as a developer, and that makes the project not viable. And there are thoughts, but there's still thoughts on how to try to create a greater supply in the market, and also to mitigate the prices and become more affordable, which is a government objective and a win. And but policies is a big thing.
It's a big issue.
It's a big issue.
They need to change.
Kyriakos,
would you like to add something on the foreign direct investment?
Yeah, so basically what you guys said, right? So if you make a regulatory change inevitably in the construction industry, it will inevitably affect the real estate market, right? So, for example, you came and said, I'm going to decrease the square meters of a unit that can go with 5% VAT. So inevitably, we started building smaller units. Makes sense, right? Up to a point. Then, or at least you start designing spaces thinking that they are going to be increased on that price. That part of the market. Then if we look at it at the bigger picture, as a country, you decided that you want to attract foreign direct investments. And you came out and you said, okay, let's bring companies in, let's give incentives to companies to migrate to Cyprus, the company itself, the shareholders, but also the employees. Tax reliefs, maybe an easier way of onboarding and stuff like that. Inevitably, that came back, and that's one of the good things, by the way, that it came back and it helped places like Limassol develop, right? You have people flowing, and it helped Paphos a lot as well, because the company starts, then the employees follow, then those employees go out and they start spending money in the general economy, which, you know, on the side effect, it helps everybody. And that's the kind of strategy that you want. Now, I am in no good authority to know how much of this was very well thought, or it just happened. But it's the kind of initiative that tells you, okay, I want not to just make developers, and I'm saying it, rich, I want to find a way to grow the economy. So let's bring people from outside in and give them the ground to basically grow in our country. And as a result, they will start giving back to us.
Thank you. Natasha, what are the obstacles that you face when you're trying to bring in investors into the island?
I think just to add to whatever guys already covered is especially the new incentives for startup company that help Cyprus for younger generation, as you already mentioned, to relocate to Cyprus. Also supporting tech companies, all the tax efficiency we have in Cyprus, it's really shaping the market. And of course, we all agree that if Cyprus finally joins the Schengen zone, that would have a huge impact on everything as well.
Thank you, Natasha. So let's see the trends. What are the trends that you're seeing in the next couple of years regarding the investment opportunities? Are there any new trends in the market, Andis?
Yes. I'll elaborate shortly on two. So the one is we're going to see, you know, when I started the company, it was, what was it, 8 years ago, we were making 2 beds of 95 meter squares. And now, you know, we're pushing, the minimum is 75. And Cyprus is a minimum, and now we're pushing it as a committee to make it 65. So there's definitely a trend of smaller units, and that's going to be the new way that we're going to see stuff. So that's of course derived from the pricing point, in order to be competitive. But the other trend that I personally and as a company we believe in is the larger community projects. And it only makes sense because, as I said before, 80% of our buyers are local foreigners, I'm allowed to say, which they don't have family here, they don't have families, and it's very, very important that they feel they belong in a community where they have their basketball courts, they have their very good, it has to be good executed community buildings. I'm not just saying just build houses all around. It has to be smart and have their lifestyle that's going to give them a premium living. So it started. I think it started more in all cities. We know the projects in Limassol, and I think that's going to be a new thing happening.
So smaller apartments.
Smaller apartments is one thing, and the other part is be and have live in a complex where it feels like a village, and you don't need to go out. You can sleep, work, and go to the gym, have your coffee, meet friends within their community, and
Any other trends, Natasha or Phibos?
I think other thing that I see a lot now is that investors are moving into flexibility, lifestyle, and they are not really looking into just to buy and hold as it used to be previously. They are looking into more hassle-free investment, also especially because a lot of investors, maybe because of the situation in the world, they are diversifying their portfolio, so they are not on hand in each location to manage it themselves. So this, I think, giving them that service of fully managed investment with less hassle and maximum return on investment, that is actually changing the market.
Very interesting, Phibos.
Okay, what I would like to say about the trends is looking to the demographics of Cyprus. And we see over the years that the population of Cyprus, one way or another, is increasing. And the demand for housing and real estate, by default as such, is a trend itself. So the size of the island doesn't become any bigger, but the population is becoming bigger. Therefore, in my opinion, in the following years, we will see in city locations the building density increasing in order to be able to come with sustainable and affordable living. So coming to real estate, innovation, sustainability, affordability, they are trends. Having better connectivity, infrastructure, like Kyriakos said before, access to overseas markets, the benchmark or the standards, they are increasing. Therefore, premium developments, they're becoming a trend nowadays. We haven't had them a few years ago. So by all means, the trend of Cyprus is evolving and is doing a miracle, I would say.
That's very promising, Kyriakos, and trend that are more obvious in Paphos.
I agree basically with what you guys said. Not in Paphos, but in general, what I see is there is a shift towards sustainability, as Phibos said, but like in a very practical manner. It started with the change of the regulations in 2019 when basically it became energy efficiency class B was the minimum that you can build, and most developers, including ourselves, we only build A, okay? That comes with a price tag, but it also starts coming with a big increase in the quality of the living experience, right? That's number one. Number two, it's in general how you design a space to maximize its efficiency, minimize the operational expenses, minimize the energy consumption, etc., from the point of sustainability, okay? And taking it one step further, because as you guys said, we started having clients from all over the world, and we as builders, as contractors, as developers, we were used to doing things in one way. It doesn't matter that it was good or bad, but we were used to doing something like that. And then people started coming, having new expectations, which forced us to evolve, forced us to get better. And sometimes it's just a matter of communication, because if I'm having a conversation with Andy and Andy thinks that this microphone needs to be black, and I say that, no, it needs to be white, and we never had this conversation. We never actually realized that, one, there is a different way of designing a microphone, and B, we might in the future, in our partnership as client-developer, face a miscommunication or an issue just because we didn't even consider that anybody does things in a different manner. So what I'm trying to say is that these people coming from different places actually helped us evolve.
This is the truth of a younger generation, and it's important that the only way to have a mindset shift is through a younger generation. So bravo, Kyriakos.
Thank you.
Excellent. So because
We are all young, Andy.
Yes, I know. But,
As I said, thank you.
for some reason, the guy before said, I'm 54 and I'm losing time. For some reason, I said, I feel you, brother, but I don't know why. I'm not there yet, guys, but anyway.
all right, just closing, I would like you to give your advice. If you would give your insights and advice to an investor coming to Cyprus, what would you advise? What are the best opportunities to invest? And we'll just have a closing couple of minutes from each panelist. I'll start with Natasha.
Okay, I would say what I see personally is that opportunity in Cyprus is real, but it's more important how you manage it after purchase, because I have seen personally great projects in Cyprus. They have been underperforming just because of the way they have been managed afterwards. Or I see some very minimalistic investments that they are outperforming. So that's really depending on how you manage it. And here is what I would say that where my company focuses. Because at Rich Estate Property Management, we manage the properties for the investors. We help them from finding the project in Cyprus that is matching their own personal criteria and then managing it afterwards. So we ensure everything is bringing the maximum return on investment as they expected.
Thank you, Natasha. Fiva?
I would like to make a comment. So my advice and my suggestion to investors, buyers, it's obviously due diligence, very important thing when it comes to investment. Understanding the geography, the location, the numbers. There is transparency with the RICS report that we have it every quarter, so investors should be educated with the numbers. And talking about location, it's very important to understand the geography of the place where you're planning to invest. And talking about Limassol, that we are experiencing as Limassolians, locals, that the city nowadays is suffering with traffic, and this is a fact, by all means, there is traffic nowadays in Limassol. Definitely for me, it doesn't fit my profile. If I choose to live in Zagaki, my kids goes to school at Follies, and then I have to commute in the city center to go to my office, which is Magariou. So where I choose to live, where I choose to take my kids for school, and where I choose to work, it's very important when it comes to my decision making from the point of view of permanent living. So location is very important.
Thank you, Fibo. Andis, what would you recommend, advise?
I'm usually an optimistic person, and not in the negative way. But I think number one is company reputation. Unfortunately, there is a lot of things. I don't want to expand. I want to finish in a positive note. But as Fivo said, the due diligence, it's the reputation of a company, because an investor, there's a competition in the market. You can come and say, I have that, but you don't know. Will you have your title deeds? Will you have your house delivered? Will you have it delivered on time? Will you have good quality? And because most of the projects are off-plan, right? So the investor is an off-plan project, and it's based on trust. And there is not, a strong legal system to actually safeguard the investor or the buyer. So it's based on trust. The transaction is based on trust today. So reputation is very, very important. I see companies here who are, you can say competitors, but they are reputable, and they can, it's not only us here. You can go around, and that's very, very important for me.
Kyriakos, closing with your advice?
I think the most important thing for anyone is to really understand what's important for them. And I know that what I'm saying sounds very trivial, but in numerous occasions while discussing with clients, I realized that the solution that I'm trying to provide them is not really going to tick their boxes, not because I try to sell something else, because don't take me wrong, we are salespeople, we are the worst breed on earth after car mechanics. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes people might not even know exactly what they're after. And to do that, I will go back to what you guys said. Do your desk study, understand locations, understand this, and then it's up to us to basically provide the solution. Because I don't think anybody of us really believes that we are selling brick and mortar. We are solution providers, right? And that's what you as from our side need to understand. And from the side of the buyer, it's what Andy said, you need to have an element of trust. Because at the end of the day, you're trusting us to build your property, right? So up to one point, you have to trust that we know how to do our job.
Thank you so much for very insightful and sharing your expertise on where to invest and how to invest in Cyprus. Thank you, Kyriakos, Andis, Natasha, and Fivo.
Thank you very much.